Hello, viewers. Welcome back to another engaging episode of Manager's Mantra, where we connect with industry leaders who are shaping the future of business management. Today, we have with us Vilas Shewale, Principal Specialist at Energy Transfer, a Fortune 100 company. Vilas is a cybersecurity leader with more than 25 years of enterprise experience. His work focuses on zero trust architecture, IT and OT convergence, and critical infrastructure defense. He has authored three books around the cybersecurity sector. He serves as a continuing judge for the Globee and Edison Awards, has been a featured speaker at the FTNCT International Conference and the Atal Faculty Development Program. So, without waiting further, let's jump right into this insightful discussion.
Hi, Vilas. A warm welcome to this new session of Manager's Mantra of BSmart, a business standard platform. Um,
Mhm.
Vilas, let us, before we start discussing the questions, a warm welcome to this new session, first of all, and thank you so much for taking out your time and participating in this session.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let us just start with the session. Vilas, my first question that I wanted to ask you is that let us start with your journey first. You have spent more than 2 decades in enterprise cybersecurity. Now, what drew you specifically to critical infrastructure?
Well, it's a very interesting question. Thanks for, like having me again. I've been in industry from last 25 years, 25 years, I started here as a developer in consulting. I moved to banking sector and now I'm in energy sector. Now a lot of people ask me, why energy sector? Because, what happens here, really matters most to me. In most job, when the cyber attacks mean, the company loses some money, some data, the customer sentiments are hurt, and they get back on their business, and then move on. We have seen this a lot of times in our ages, right? But in energy sector, attack can shut down the power. It can stop fuel, going to your gas station. It can shut down literally a city, sewage, a city without a clean water, and those type of attacks, are really, really, dangerous. So those affect, people. That's the reason, the whole bringing in the energy sector. Now the people that are attacking us are different too, They were just thieves initially, looking for money. Many of them, work for foreign governments. Now they have time, they have money, they are very patient, they have very long-term plan, so you can just keep them out. You must have a plan to basically address them. What if they get in? That's how the prevention happens nowadays. I think every business will need this kind of thinking years ahead, not just the energy sector, not the critical sector. And that's why I wrote the book, Zero Trust from the Trenches. Most of the security books, that are written by the people who never ever had, experience fixing the real factory or pipeline. I wanted to share my real security, how the real security will look like, when these things will happen, when the work, um, uh, uh, it's just keep going, every day or something like that.
Thank you so much, Vilas. Vilas, the energy sector and increasingly other industries, they sit at the intersection of IT and operation tech today. What makes this intersection so difficult to secure, and probably what can young leaders learn from it?
Well, this is a problem with, most of us, they don't know about it. So let me explain why. In a company, there are two type of, technologies. First is what people picture is like what they hear, right? The computers. When they see the computers, they see about the files, they see about the emails, website. We call that as the IT, information technology. Their job is to protect the information. Now, the second kind of runs the actual physical world, the power grid, your clean water plants, the system running, a pipeline, a gas pipeline or a crude pipeline, a factory. This is what we call as OT, the operational technology, and it's a job to keep the things running smoothly and safely for the people. If one of the system fail, people can really get hurt. So these are the two type of very different, worlds. The IT team is basically update the software all the time. You see the patches coming on your machine and you reboot them, and you can reboot that in your own time. That's acceptable downtime, in most of the cases. But in OT system, no, you cannot do that. You cannot accept that. Having a downtime when the power plant goes out and the city loses the power, lights. So for years, OT systems were not connected with the internet. So they lived on their own, in their own bubble, as we call it, as uh, uh, basically air-gapped environments. They are safe and separate. But over the last, few years, like maybe 10, 20 years, the businesses wanted more data. They want to crunch in more data. They want remote control. So they're connected with the OT system everywhere. When the walls come down, the security doesn't catch up on all of these things. Uh, so here is what I learned. When I sit with the OT engineers, I'm visitor. I'm in their house. I'm a visitor. They know all the things and how the things happen. I do not know anything about their equipment, and so I don't pretend that. I simply respect it. So the companies that handle this very well are the ones in where the IT and OT leaders sit together on one table, discuss the ideas, hash out the things, work towards the security. Those who fail are the ones who are, sending the emails back and forth, over the walls. Uh, that's my take on it.
That was really very detailed and insightful.
Thank you.
We have moved from the theoretical critical infrastructure attacks to the routine ones now. We have seen
Mhm.
colonial pipeline, Ukraine grid attacks, the recent water utility incidents. Now, what's actually changed in the threat landscape over the last few years, and how can young leaders tackle this?
That's a very interesting question. I love this question. I have mentioned this in a lot of my other presentations. Those two are very my favorite examples that you use. And thank you for, asking for that, makes it more interesting for me. So a lot of change in last 5 years. And let me give you the main points. The first, the attackers are now more professional. They're not the, goons, from, a small house, trying to catch something. 10 years ago, the big threats came from very small groups, of the government attacks, so some government attacks are true. Today, the word is bigger. You have criminal gangs who rent out these tools, anyone with the money, as a call as a ransomware as a service now. Like we have a platform as a service, software as a service. Now it's a ransom as a service. You have these governments quietly, placing themselves inside this important system. They are very patient. They're waiting to use that access later. The line between criminals and so-called, the proxy governments, have gotten really fuzzy. The second that, I would say is there are many ways now that attacker can get in. People work from home nowadays. COVID has, make that as a norm. Maybe recent, war made that as a norm due to the high gas prices. So company use online services. Devices are well connected with the internet everywhere. Outside vendors have access to the company resources all the time. And whenever I say all these things, each of these things have opening a new door. Uh, so look what happened with the colonial pipeline a few years ago. It shut down the fuel system of US. Half of the country was without the fuel. They were miles and miles long. Um, Car lines, just to fill the gas on the east side of the, US. So how did the attackers get in? Not with a clever trick, I would say that, that took, just one stolen password. That's it. One stolen password, gave attackers what they needed to shut down um, the entire pipelines. Attackers nowadays don't need fancy tools when it comes when the basics, fall, they're wide open. Third is I would say that the style of the attacks had changed. Attackers used to break in, do the damage. They will take the data. They will leave. Now they break in. They sit quietly in your system, just patiently waiting, watching you, learning from your system, and they attack. Or they strike when it really hurts the most. When there is a hurricane season, let's say, the fuel is already on a crunch and you shut down a pipeline, that can make real damage uh, to the country or the infrastructure. Fourth, I would say AI is making the attacks very cheaper. Okay. This is very interesting part where, things have things that used to need a very skilled hacker uh, can now be done by a software. Writing fake emails, finding, targets, even some breaking works, So what does this mean for the business leaders is the question that used to be is like, uh, will we get attacked is not the question that you know. Now the question is how fast you can find it, stop it, mitigate it, and recover from it. That's the most important shift, and that's the many company boards haven't caught up with that, and I think they should do a lot of work, doing in this particular sector.
Thank you so much, Vilas. Vilas, today AI is a buzzword, and no discussions are complete without talking
Yes.
about artificial intelligence. I've
Yeah.
seen how it already disrupted a lot of sectors,
Hmm.
and we have to live up with it. Rather than getting scared, we need to be ready with to live with AI and
Yes.
use it for our own advantages and leverage
Correct.
on it. Now, as I spoke about that, AI is now both on both sides of the table. Attackers using it, defenders using it. How is that reshaping the cybersecurity strategy in practice? And being a business leader, if you had to give one framework to the chief information security officer starting their role today, say, then what it would be?
Well, the biggest change in the cybersecurity right now, like I said, both ways. The AI is used for attack and as well as the defender. So let me start with the attackers. AI help them in three ways. First, you no longer need a skilled hacker. AI does a lot of work for you. You just put it out there. It can find the vulnerabilities and can give you a plan. Second, the attacks are much faster due to the computational power of the AI. What used to take hackers, weeks now can be done in few hours. That's very dangerous in some cases because you do not have manpower to patch those holes when AI is attacking. Third is the attacks are more personal nowadays. Fake emails, social engineering are used to be easy to spot, with the bad grammar, wrong details, bad icon. Now the AI writes like a near perfect English, perfect Hindi emails with the real details that are captured by social engineering um, from your job and your company. So even we're seeing fake voicemail, coming from your CIO, CFO, asking other employees to send the money or wire transfer the money. That's very, interesting, and that has happened few years ago. This was a research idea that AI can do this voiceover, but today it's happening in real world. I mean, this is a reality that we have to face. On the defender side, I would say AI helps too. It's great at watching huge, humongous data activity, noticing some sort of um, uh, basically it's on a lookout, so much faster than any human can do it. It also is good for sorting, through alarms, basically filtering the noise and showing what really matters to the security experts. But here is a catch, AI can take my final call. AI, as though AI can do a lot of data crunching, everything, it finally resides with the human, who can take those critical decisions. So it can tell you something looks wrong, but it's up to a person to basically take that decision. Those most decisions are reside with the people, and that's what it's all about. So the security team for the future isn't all human. It's basically combination. So it's basically AI handles the speed and volume, filters out that data, gives you that data. Now humans can handle the hard decision based on the experience. This is where the experience comes in a play. So one more thing I would say worth mentioning is AI systems themselves are now becoming targets. That means attackers can mess up your data points, which are used for AI for their learning, the building the logic and everything. So Attackers can, cheat, and they can, trick your chatbots to give up your secrets without you knowing. As company put AI into everything, customer service, engineering, designing, they're creating a new ways to get attacked by hackers. So most company aren't thinking about this. They're just going with the AI, and I think they should be doing that. So as far as the framework is concerned, for the zero work, the biggest mistake is starting with the technology instead of you thinking about what really you want to protect. That's the question everyone should be asking. So here is what I see all the time: a leader decides, a company decides, let's say they want to go zero trust. They have a budget, they hire the vendors, they have a bunch of the tools that they bought, from the market, all the shiny things, shiny tools. They install them. A year, 2 years down the line, they have spent a lot of money, trying to do the zero trust, and they don't feel safer. Uh, the simple question is why? Because they never ask the basic question to themselves that what they're actually trying to protect. That's the main thing that they need to ask. So zero trust only works if you know what really matters, right? So to your business, your most sensitive data, your most important software, the things that are broken would really hurt the company if they are broken, right? A vendor accessing some type of resource, can be compromised. And once once you know all these type of things, you can build a security around them. Without that, every tool you can buy is, you're working in the dark. You do not know what exactly you're addressing. So I always tell the leaders to start with what I call as a crown list, jewel list. Spend your initial planning months, let's say 3, 6 months, that you have in your project plan, not buying any tool. Don't buy any tools. Just, walk through your company, find out the 50 most important things, let's say. Okay, understand, who using them, from where, for what reason. It may sound really boring to everyone that, why we doing this? There is nothing to show progress, for 3, 6 months. And hey, why are we gathering the data? Leaders don't like it when they don't see those type of progresses, right? The C-levels do not like it. But in my opinion, it's one of the most useful thing that you can do to start with the zero trust. The second mistake, treating zero trust as a security team's job. It's not just one team job. Security touches HR, it touches network, it touches your business, finance, it touches, the simple person who's at your reception and just watching, the cameras. So if only security team is involved, the results are very small because just one team is involved in that, and you may not have the complete company's support to actually make it as a zero trust. Leaders who succeed, understands that. So they bring everyone on the table. They make sure that everyone understanding this, and they're making sure that everyone buying this idea that there's zero trust. So third mistake, just being in hurry. They want to do it, so they want to rush the things into. For a big company, they zero trust doesn't take like 2, 3 months, 6 months. It's a process. It takes 3, 4, 5 years to actually get there, to make sure that the zero trust is implemented. It's a slow, painstaking process, but yes, the fruits that you reap through that are very, very, very high. You can some leaders do not like it, some companies do not like it, the progress is happening so slow. So you can have a milestone every quarter, and you can show that in every quarter what you have achieved. That can satisfy the C-level suit, in my opinion.
Thank you so much, Vilas. Vilas, India is rapidly digitizing its energy and utility infrastructure. The smart cities, the renewable transition, digital grids. Now, what lessons from your US experience would you offer to the young leaders in India leading different businesses?
That's very interesting. I think about India a lot. My origins are from there. Uh, I see the progress happening in India. It's dramatic and it's very positive. So let me share like four ideas. First, the build security from the day one. Okay, don't add it later. This was the biggest mistake. Some of the U.S. companies probably have done it. The mindset was not like that initially. So we build our system first, and then we try to bolt it with the security on the top. Was very painful and expensive. India has a real chance to do this differently. As you build smart grids, the power grids, the infrastructure is very, ramping up really, really fast. So the smart cities, digital substations you see, coming all around the country. Put the security into your design, to start with. The cost of adding it later, that security, if there is a physical security you talk about or digital security you talk about, it 10 times the higher of your initial cost. Second, invest in OT security skills. There is a shortage of these people all around the world, not just in US or India, and all around the world. India has a unique chance here. Uh, India already has a huge IT talent. It's known to world that India is a magnet for IT talent. Uh, you have very strong engineering school. Take IITs, any B schools or any school that you talk about it, is very highly reputable in India. So you're building, new infrastructure, so you can train the new generation when these infrastructure are building at the simultaneously, so that they know both the worlds. They understand the theoretical aspect of it as well as the practical aspect of it. And we need to have a special program. We need to teach these kids, the young generation about the OT and IT system, how they the words collide together, or how they overlap. Instead of collide, I would say overlapping. So the partnership between the companies and university is very important, in that matter. Third, I would say, take your suppliers really seriously. This is the most important question nowadays. Every now in US also, they are thinking about, who can put 5G in US infrastructure. The companies are being weighted out. So the most equipments in the modern infrastructure, sensor control parts, come from, small number of global makers. You cannot make everything in India. They are coming from, let's say, Taiwan, Vietnam, everywhere. And where they come from really matters. What software inside them, also matters, because that's what, controlling all these sensor controllers, parts. So this is becoming a national issue, not just a company issue. The debates happening in US is about the equipment I told you about, from certain countries, that will reach India too. India is not, isolated from those things. So I would say fourth is, work together. Not a single company can protect their critical infrastructure by themselves. US groups have US has groups called CISA, where the companies share their threat information with the government. It's a big platform. The CISA notification comes to all the companies, who subscribe to it, or all the critical infrastructure companies subscribe to it. I think India has its own. It's called as a CERT in India or something, or NCIIPC. The companies need to join these organizations, these central organizations, to be better protected. Just don't wait till the rules are forced on you, because that may be like a surprise to you, like what exactly happening. And I think one last thought about is, India should not just copy what US has done, because your politics is different here. Your the rules are different. The layout is different. The threat actors are different. So take the ideas, build on top of those ideas, make their own your own. India has a real good chance, not just to follow, but lead in this type of um, environment.
Thank you so much, Vilas. Plus, there is a widely cited cybersecurity talent gap globally. So, what's the right approach to building the next generation? A lot of the
Oh,
young leaders being, crafted in the different B schools, they will be watching this, and they will also be, very curious to know this.
I worked as a reviewer for we have a KTISD, as a schools district, where I was a cybersecurity curriculum, a reviewer. I have judged many international awards. And when I see all those things, I see a real talent gap. The talent gap is real. When I was reviewing all those things and I'm going through, those industry award, it looks like in the day and night difference. So people say we don't have enough cybersecurity workers. Actually, that's too simple. We have plenty of people, who are starting out right now. It's a cybersecurity AI, is a buzzword nowadays in all the job sectors. What we don't have the people who are in the middle and the top. So let me explain what I when I say, middle and the top. The hardest parts for to fill the people can be, can do more than one thing, not just one thing. Okay, people who understand both IT and the machines, the OT world on the factory floor, the people who can talk both engineers and as well as the business leaders, people who know both, the cloud system, old system, from 20 years ago or from 10 years ago, how they're built. Like, I mentioned that in one of your previous questions, uh, people who can lead the big change project. These are the people we cannot find. That's a real talent gap, I'm talking about, or that's a real talent gap we need to fill. Everyone needs to fill, not just in India. So when I work with schools, I talk to young people as a mentor. I tell them three things. First, go in deep, not just wide. Try to certifications have their place. I agree with that. They have their own place on your resumes, but people who succeed long term are the ones who really understand how the things work in real world, not just theoretically. So how does the computer actually checks the password is, how does the data really travel from one place to another place on a network, the port level, those are the things that cannot be learned on the weekend classes. Those are the real-time expert who will give you an idea, they will teach you. I would say the second, learn another field too, not just limit to your one field. The best cybersecurity expert I have seen, they have understanding from the business side as well as from the IT side. They understand the risk because they understand the business. What if something goes down? What's the risk associated with it? It's just not the data that we're trying to protect. It's the actual real world scenarios that we're trying to protect. That's really important. So I would say when you're starting your career, pick an industry, pick like banking, energy, healthcare. Learn deeply, about the business, how the things are going, everything. Mix that with your tech skills, and that what creates, the leadership. That will create the senior leaders. They set you apart from all other resumes that are on the market. Third, I would say that get the real experience as soon as possible. Classroom can only give you so much, the theoretical knowledge, but you have to actually jump into a real company where the most graduates struggle. They need to get more internship, more apprenticeship. More connection between schools and companies are really important. For the people who are moving into the cybersecurity from another field in their mid-career, and there are many, my advice is different for them. So just don't try to learn everything, pick a one area, get really good at it. You will struggle as a journalist versus if you are a specialist about something, you will really excel, and not just in that field, but other fields as well.
Because we come to the last question of the session,
Yeah.
a very interesting one for the viewers. Looking 3 to 5 years ahead, what's the headline you expect to see? And what do you think should leaders be preparing for it now? And what are the skills you think will be indispensable for them?
Excellent question. I mean, I like that question. You're thinking ahead of the time and giving your viewers, the future, what will happen. So let me share two predictions here, and I think both will happen. I think they both are very bold. The first is, the line between IT and OT worlds are really getting blurred. We can see the vendors, vendors accessing your system, from outside world, to support them is a reality. Not, the people working remote is a reality. So I think, the major incident will force critical infrastructure industry to go through a major haul, new rules, all around the world, not just in India or US, and no one knows when this will happen or where this will happen. We had very close call. We talked about it, the Ukrainian power grid, Colonial pipeline, and other examples of it. Aadhaar breach is another one. I would say close calls that I was exposed to hackers. So we had regional outages as well, right? So the chances are really big uh, for the big event happening. It will affect the main industry in many countries, maybe same time, maybe different time. The chances are going up and not the down. So when it happens, the new rules, new laws will come in really fast and hard on the companies, and those who are not done their basic work will be in serious trouble. Second, you talked about AI, and I'm betting on AI too. Uh, AI will become both biggest attacker as well as the biggest defender in the cybersecurity world. We are heading in the world where a lot of attacks are being a lot of attacks and a lot of defenses are done by AI at the same time. Uh, they are by their own. Humans will move into this just a supervision mode. Hey, they will move into the harder decision when the data has been filtered out. So setting the rules, watching AI, what they're exactly doing, just making sure that they're not going rogue on their own. So this is not a science fiction. This is a reality. Not maybe 5 years, but less than that. So I would say that what leaders should do, a couple of things I would say. First, do the basics very well. We talked about my five foundations, earlier. None of these future scenarios end well where the company hasn't done their basic work. It's boring, but you have to do it. Second, start thinking about the AI roles in your company, both in AI, you're building your AI that you're buying, who's responsible for what type of AI, the security decision making. What if it turns out to be wrong? How do you check, what did it do? How do you stop it in case it goes wrong? These are the questions needs to be answered now, not later. Third, I would say that, look into your suppliers. I talk about suppliers and over again. The most likely cause of the big attacks, in next 5 years isn't something, coming directly to your company, but, he's getting your supply. A software vendor, service provider, part maker. The solar wind attack is a major example a few years ago where attackers didn't go thousands of companies. They went to solar winds, hacked that system to affect thousands of systems being compromised. So that they went with the one vendor instead of 1,000 companies. It's pretty simple. The fruits that they reap from it, very 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 high. Therefore, I would say change your mindset. In the old mindsets, keep the bad guys out. That doesn't work anymore. That's over. The new mindset is we know they're gonna get in. They might be already inside. We have stopped them from. You just have to stop them from spreading. You have to make sure that your systems are resilient. Macro segmentation of your networks is important. As one part of the system is being attacked, you do not want that thing to be spread out, throughout your company. So that's very important. And we also need to, make sure that, hey, once that happens, you're still running when you're cleaning up that mess, which has happened. So this is very different thinking, and many companies are not thinking in this way, and they need to learn and to survive. So if I had to sum it up in next 5 years, it will be defined by the gap between the companies that have not done the boring basic work. I mentioned that in my five, the fundamental things, and those who haven't, those who done the work, will reap the fruit, and the gap will grow fast. To bridge the gap, that's what they had to do. And you know this is what reality in the cybersecurity and critical infrastructure, not in the critical infrastructure but in all the industries right now. And we had to act now, and we had to act like decisively.
Thank you so much, Vilas. This was a really insightful and a great discussion. Thanks for all your inputs, your very valuable personal experiences, sharing all of them with us. This will be a great learning for all the viewers watching this, I think, and we will be, we would love to stay in touch with you and have you again in any of the future sessions of Be Smart Business Standard. Thank you for taking out your time, Vilas.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I hope the session helps with for everyone, just not a vertical, horizontal, everyone. Thanks for having me. Would love to come back again, on the different topic or more, expand more on the same topic. I wish you, all the best, guys. Keep learning, keep exploring, and stay curious. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thanks.
So that's a wrap on this episode of Manager's Mantra. Thank you, Vilas, for sharing your insights on the cybersecurity space and providing career tips to the B schoolers. B Smart viewers, we hope you found this conversation helpful. Share your thoughts with us at bsmart.edit at the rate bsml.in. Follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram for more such insightful and inspiring content. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing.